I think we are live. I'll do this ever so quickly. If you haven't heard of cryptocurrency, maybe you should think about Bitcoin, Ethereum, maybe Solana, maybe some of the stables. Maybe you should learn about centralized exchanges. Maybe you should learn how to buy and sell. Once you get more advanced, maybe you should have a look at some of the L2s, the contracts on top of Ethereum, having your own personal wallets, having your own hardware wallet, and how to keep those safe, i.e. how to access your seed phrases, etc, etc. Then once you get more advanced, maybe you have a look at some of the decentralized exchanges, and maybe how to provide LP across different chains like Binance. I also missed out, so BNB, PancakeSwap, etc. Then once you understand all of that and a new L1 gets deployed, which is a fork of Ethereum, you may understand what is taking place. Now, before I continue, you'll see this here. Basically, really, it's not possible to point out this loudly enough. When the media is behind your movement, you aren't the resistance. So at the moment, I don't know if you've noticed this, but it's most likely that you haven't heard of Pulsechain, PulseX INC or HEX, or even how to buy HEX. So again, as I said before, maybe you have to learn some of those steps. Now moving on from there, we have gopulse.com in the chat and the link. If you are extremely new to cryptocurrency, I have to do that later because I actually haven't got my chat up. So if anyone's in here, I apologize. Have a look at Pulsechain at the moment. It is 0.000566, 0.57 of SAC rate, 0.47 for PulseX. So that relates to the price. And INC, we did not crack $5 in the last 24 hours, which is a shame. There was a slight pullback. I'm not sure why that is, but that's okay because you can't always go up and to the right. Now, HEX is under 2 cents again, but EHEX is flying relative to HEX on Pulsechain. Now, that's okay. It's just data. It's just a data point. So moving on here, we have this here. Why is Pulsechain, PulseX, INC, and HEX potentially gems? Well, we have this article here written by Model T MaximalistHex.com. I think I've read this Hex account before, so I won't do it again. But Hex origin address locks 90% of entire Hex supply, claiming half of all yield for 7 days. Now, this is more the understanding of how smart contracts work on top of L1s. Now, skipping forward, if you understand that, maybe this makes sense. Now, last week, the Hex origin address made big moves the community has not seen since November 2020. What's the contrarian AF is Hex is up more than 80% on news. The mysterious origin address claimed half the share pool yields for a week. Richard Hart, the Hex and Pulsechain founder, who may or may not have full control of the OA keys, has been posting furiously about killing inflation. Why? My best guess is inflationary systems may perform poorly in deflationary environments, while Doge cuts $1 trillion of spending and the Fed's interest rates stay high. Pulsechain is revealing ways to mitigate a deflationary environment with the help of its origin address. These next few insights are not visible to the standard due diligence of an experienced crypto investor. These gems are buried behind years of FUD, gatekeeping, lawfare, and pain. What it feels like to be properly hedged and laddered on Pulsechain right now. Leaning on my experiences as a US Navy sailor, Pulsechain feels like a ship prepared to get underway. It feels like all systems are go to show the world something. Crypto has not yet witnessed a global consensus network that repurposes the rent-seeking profits of centralized middlemen towards supporting Pulsechain in its 4 killer apps, which are Hex, Pulsechain, PulseX, and INC. The whole episode began with a surprise launch of Pump.Ties, a refined iteration of Solana's Pump Fun platform. Boom, another holistic killer app that burns Pulse supply. Pump.Ties seamlessly and streamlines and simplifies the secure launch of new coins on Pulsechain, while 1% of all volume is burned in Pulse, until the new coin graduates to a listing on PulseX, network's premier decentralized exchange. Then, without warning, the origin address locked hundreds of billions of Hex for 7 days, claiming more than half of the share pool's daily payout. Then it slashed INC's inflation rate 20-fold, signaling to liquidity providers pool liquidity on PulseX V1. Reportedly. Historically, what the main driver of Bitcoin bull run, the supply shock created by halving BTC inflation every 4 years. The Hex origin address just induced Bitcoin halving. Hundreds of millions of hex sent to hit the market over the coming days and weeks are now off the table. PulseX clearly has thinned by more than 30%, creating more responsive price movements. Pump.Tires is now burning Pulse at 3x the rate of PulseX. V1 buy and burn. INC inflation basically muted, and Hex's APY reduced from 38 to 6%. Alright, 6%. Now we have a screenshot here. Pulsechain just executed a mind-bending inflationary pivot, revealing Bitcoin's main fundamental as a hidden Easter egg. What's geeking me out are the revelations of how healthy this is for Hex as an inflationary yield-generating system. Hex feels like a battery on charge because it is. Hex monetizes time. Its share system burns not electricity but time. Is there any way to hack time? Hash power, electricity, mining hardware, spaghetti code, consensus software, those are all the hackable, manipulatable vulnerabilities of Bitcoin's network. To say nothing of its centralized markets. Pulsechain has none of the negative external waste and can plug itself when a benevolent origin address locks billions of hex 7 days at a time. When the Hex 08 time deposits mature, they will yield 200 million hex, removing 4 million of potential sell pressure at 2 cents and $200 million of sell pressure at $1, probably forever. Will the Hex 08 lock for another 7 days after that? I hope so. I hope the 08 rolls 7-day lockups all through 2025 altcoin season. Minting half the share pool yields every 7 days has its own Easter egg benefits. Hex inflates 3.69% of minted supply. Minting tons of inflation that never gets dumped has the knock-on benefit of raising the daily payout of Hex share pool forever. Investors locked shares will now appreciate more faster, while market price responds to less supply for the sustained, maybe even increasing demand. Hex investors with the long-term ladders and time deposits have been earning 38% APY the past 4 years. Now they get to trade some APY for market price appreciation. Now that may not have made a lot of sense to someone who's completely new to cryptocurrency, but if you are more familiar how tokenomics work, maybe you would enjoy listening to that, rereading that, replaying that, and just seeing if this is something you actually want to, look into and actually talk about. Because just remember, not all crypto media publications are going to be telling you that this even exists. They will not even recognize it. And I wonder why. Now, if you have a look here, if it will load, I'll give it 3 seconds. If it doesn't load, maybe my net's going to drop out. This is the joys of doing this live. You never know what's going to happen. Now, this, again, I think I've read this particular X post before. The bio basically points out that just in a few hours ago, 95% of all Hex supply has now been taken off the market as daughter wallets continue to stake Hex 5555 today. Richard once said APY doesn't matter in the bull run, all that matters is the price chart. Hex bull run will leave his haters in disbelief. So if you condense down what we just previously went through, basically what you're seeing is if 95.2% of the Hex is staked, how much is really left? It also has in the PulseX pool how much is actually available, actually tradable, and what could happen if there were large buys or large sells. The founder himself, his account, points out that literally hidden gems, INC inflation just got cut 20x, Hex daily APY just got cut 7x, and PulseX and Pulsechain have been burning coins every day. So what does that mean for price appreciation? Well, what we did see was price go up. What we did see is price go up for Hex, Pulsechain, PulseX, and INC. And it could be that the system is primed, like the other article mentioned, that it is like a ship ready to go, that we may see further price appreciation because the systems in place are allowing for it, almost encouraging it. It's also encouraging pullbacks if there is mass selling, but so too could it allow for very large green candles. This is just my opinion. Now on the back of that, there is this here too, a meme coin called Most. It appears to be, as it has in its description, Nobody wants to be the least wanted. Richard Hart's official meme coin deployed on pump.tires by the same people wallet that created Pump and Trump. So take that information and do what you will with it. If you like it, dislike it, I don't know. But have you heard of it? That's the question you got to ask yourself. Because most likely you haven't. The only people telling you this stuff is probably people in the community. And trust me, they're not getting paid for any of this. I'm not getting paid for any of this. All of this is an unofficial manner. All of this is just because I have some free time. And if you enjoy trading, you know, maybe you can apply your trading skills and test yourself and see how well you can do on most, because most likely you might do okay. Now, in closing, we do have this here, altcoin daily. Now, I'm not sure if he knows about Pulsechain, PulseX INC or HEX, or even holds any, or sacrificed for it when the sacrifice phase was running. Now, if you understand what that is, that's a positive. If you're completely new to cryptocurrency, you're gonna have to go back and look up some of the history of PulseX INC. Looking on Twitter and probably YouTube would be like the encyclopedia of the wiki, what is taking place up to this point. Now, it's so obvious. Bitcoin, sending Bitcoin as an example is you and the recipient, right? Peer-to-peer. Now, sending fiat you to your bank, to a payment processor, to their bank, and to their recipient. So I guess you would call that a description of a middleman. So that is where I shall end this particular stream. I'll cut this. I'll go back to playing some charts the next probably 8 hours or so, because it's really good to see what the coins do over time, especially when I'm not at the computer. Now, just remember, what seems to be like nothing could be something. When you think that you are not moving, maybe you are moving, and this just proves that. This particular screen. Have a look. Watch closely.
Here comes the sun.
Watch that again.
Here comes
Is that moving?
The sun.